to another video. I am Vanessa and today I'm going to show you all of my 2023 knits. I have a fat stack of sweaters here, I have my tea and I have my knitting journal, so let's dive right in. First of all, I wanted to wish you a very happy new year. I wish you all the best for the year of 2024 and a great year of crafting. Okay, so I'm going to show you this stack once, so you can get a feeling for how much I've knit. I haven't counted them yet, so I think I will do that during this video. I hope that it won't topple over now. This, of course, are only the knits that aren't gift knits. Everything I've knit for other people are with those people. I didn't tell them to give it back for a video. So yeah, this is everything I made for myself. I'm going to start off with a pair of socks. I don't put socks in my knitting journal because I don't care that much about where I got the yarn and when I knit them. In one of my latest podcast episodes, I told you about how I always have like a pair of work socks that I knit on during my lunch breaks. And this is one of those pairs. I knitted in at my last workplace. I have already worn it quite a few times, so I hope it doesn't look too bad. I honestly wash my knitted socks after every wear. I just put them in a washer and hang them to dry. I've never had any trouble with that. And for every single one of these items, I filmed like a little clip of me wearing it, so I'm always going to put that on the side when I'm talking about that item. This is just a plain vanilla sock in a self-striping or it's a yarn that's supposed to imitate colorwork, and that's pretty much everything I have to tell about it. They're a bit short. This is the second pair I made from the same yarn. I knit two pairs with that yarn during my time at that workplace, so they look quite similar, but the first pair I knit in 2022. And as you can see, I ran out of yarn just at the tip of the toe and had to insert like a tiny stripe of scrap yarn I had laying around. I don't think it's very noticeable, and I honestly don't fuss that much about my socks because people don't see them very much. So yes, this is the only finished pair of socks that I have knit during this year, or the past year by now. So one of my goals for 2024 is to knit a few more socks. I have quite a bit of sock yarn, but I rarely use it. So 2024, maybe it will be my year of socks. Maybe it won't. We will see. Now, I'm always going to look up the other knits in my journal here because I can't remember for the life of me what I used. Okay. I don't know if I want to give these things a rating or not. Maybe that would be fun. Or maybe it would be mean to myself. Because this was a year of either really great knits and at the same time some that are terrible. And that some of them I haven't even worn because I think they are so bad. So I will try rating them. I think that gives the whole thing here a little bit more fun. I don't know if I would be doing this video if I had podcasted all of last year, because I think it would be quite repetitive. But as I only started podcasting again in November, I wanted to show you all of the other things I made during the year, just for a little recap. This is my Burrow cardigan by VanessaB Knitwear. And if I had to rate this, I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. Because I love this so much. The only thing I would change about it is I would make it a tiny bit longer. But otherwise, I think this is one of my favorite things I've ever made. It looks weird holding it up because it scrunches a bit together on the button band. But when I wear it, I like it a lot, and it's the softest thing I've ever made. This is made out of Shawls Sensitiva. You can see it on the border right here. That's a merino yarn, I think. And I got it during a holiday in Switzerland. Same as the second yarn I used. For the body and arms, I held together the Shawls Sensitiva. That was color 5. And I held it together with Lana Grossa Più Bella, also from Switzerland, in the color 2. And this is the softest thing. That was kind of an alpaca, a fluffy alpaca blend, and it made quite a thick fabric. And then for the button band that goes up the front and around the neck, I held together the Shawls Sensitiva with one of my advent calendar yarns from 2022. I had an advent a hand-dyed advent mini calendar by Cardigan, and there was one skein in there that fit perfectly with this yarn, and it's this slightly speckled purple, black and green yarn with a beige base, and I think it gives the cardigan just a little pop of color around the border. The buttons are also from Switzerland. They are little flowers. They call them Edelweiss, and it's like a typical symbol in Switzerland, so I wanted to use that for my cardigan with Swiss yarn. Oh, I don't know if the yarn is actually Swiss. I just got it there. I don't want this video to get too long, so I'm not going to spend too much time with each object. And I'm restacking the sweaters next to me. This is made out of the same yarn. It's the Sophie scarf by Petite Knit. It's just exactly the same yarn. And this is, I'm also going to give a 4.5 out of 5, just because it could be a tiny bit longer. And I made this during a trip to New York. So I started it in the plane going to New York. I knit on it during the evenings when we were just spending a calm evening in our rental, and then I finished it on our flight back. So yeah, this is yarn from a holiday in Switzerland knit up during a holiday in New York, which gives this quite a nice memory. Next up is my Advent Montmartre jumper. This is also by VanessaB Knitwear. You will notice that this was my year of knitting patterns by VanessaB Knitwear. I didn't realize I made so many of her patterns, but looking at this stack, probably half of them are from her, are made from her patterns. This is my Advent Montmartre jumper. So it is made out of my VanessaB Knitwear Advent Calendar from 2022. I started it in December of 2022 and finished it in March of 2023. The yarns are, the light pink is powder, the turquoise one is 1950, the red one is polka, and the light blue one is minty. The pink one on the border is Sugar Plum Fairy, and they were all in the advent calendar. I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. I like the shape of it and the construction, so I would make this sweater again, but I really don't like the colors. They aren't too bad, but they really aren't my colors. They are a bit too vibrant for my liking, especially the turquoise and the pink one. If I would make this again, I would probably decide to leave out the pink and the turquoise and just make it with the red, the light pink and the minty green. But it's too late for that. I do wear it around Christmas time though, because I think it's like a cute vintagey Christmas jumper. But the rest of the year it's mostly in my wardrobe. Now this is something I mostly knit during 2022. I started it in spring 2022 and I knit all of the body with this brown and green yarn. That is Lana Grossa Myland White Merino in the color Nanda. But then I ran out of the yarn, and for the longest time I just couldn't find anything that would fit the green, that would fit the main yarn to finish the borders. I did knit the bottom border a couple of times, but I always had to rip it back out because it just wasn't the right thing. And I had this left over from my advent calendar. It's the color Minty from the Fable Knitwear advent calendar in the base Athena. And I still don't think it's a perfect fit. It looks better on camera than in person. But it's finished now and I do wear it like this. So I'm also going to leave it as it is. The pattern I used for this is the Petite Knit Friday Slipover V-neck. However, I heavily modified it. I made a round neck instead of a V-neck. So it's more like a traditional Friday slipover. And I used a different gauge. This is fingering instead of DK. Or what was the original, I think, is fingering held together with mohair. So I used fingering held single, which makes it a lot tighter. So I wear this more of a top than a slipover. And the button on it is a vintage Venetian Murano glass button. I don't know if you can see it properly. It won't focus. 1 second. No, I can't get it to focus. I'm sorry. Yes, so also a 3 out of 5. This one is a straight up 5 out of 5. 1 second. I'm going to tie it so you can see it a bit better. Also a Fable Knitwear top. This is the Folklore Ruffle top by Fable Knitwear. The yarn I used is Lino Muka by Woll Berlin in the color of white. For the mosaic knitting, I used 2 different colors by Frida Fuchs. One was pistachio and one was sesame. She calls these her mini Füchse. It has some silver stellina in it. I didn't embroider it. The pattern gives the option to embroider the top along the slit, but I prefer to keep it like this. I made some braids to tie it in the middle. And I love this top. This is the perfect summery top. It's so breezy and light, and I am probably going to make another one of these in the following year. I have the yarn in one more color, in a light pink, so that's probably something you're going to be seeing during summer. Next up, another Fable Knitwear pattern. This is the Marilyn turtleneck by Fable Knitwear, and I knit this in Keatsgan Merino Solist Xberg Fall. and I knit this whole thing during April. I'm going to give this a 4, I think so. You're probably going to see this again on my needles very soon, because I wanted it to be long enough to reach into my pants. So I just knit it as long as I had yarn left over to knit. I just did a regular bind off, and the problem is that this pattern has some waist shaping to decrease into the waist, and I didn't increase after the waist, and with my non-stretchy bind off I have a really hard time getting it on, and it's pretty tight and it just scrunches up on the bottom because it can't fit over my hips. So I will be ripping out the bottom ribbing and shortening it by a bit and cast it off with a stretchy bind off. And then this will probably be a 5 out of 5 because I really enjoy wearing this. It's a staple in my wardrobe. It's just a basic turtleneck, and I am probably going to knit some more of these because I think they are really usable, and it's a nice layer for the middle of the winter where you can wear another vest or another sweater on top of it. The next one is an owlery blouse by, you guessed it, Fable Knitwear. This one is a 5 out of 5. I love this to bits. I just don't often get to wear it because it's maybe a bit over the top to wear to the office with the poofy, fluffy sleeves and the slit in the middle. I knit the sleeves in Drops Kitzik Mohair in the color 9, and the body is knit in garden flower yarn merino, called, in German it's called Vanille Eis mit Früchten, which means as much as vanilla ice cream with fruit. And yeah, I have some plans to make another one of these. This one I started in April and finished in May. Oh, and the button to hold together the neckline is this little glass square button that I inherited from my grandmother's sewing collection. And at first I made the slip a little bit too deep, so I sewed it back up again. You can slightly see that, but I don't think that it's very noticeable to anyone but a knitter. So if I do knit it again, I'm just going to start the slit a little bit higher up. Next up is my pink fluffy Ghost Whisperer top. It's a bit creased. Whoops. The pattern is by Park Knit, and the yarn I used is King Fibers Malted Baby Suri in the color Sepia. And I got this one during the trip to New York. The cuffs at the bottom, the neck and the arms is knit in Fable Knitwear Athena colorway Powder, so a leftover from the advent calendar. And this is also a 5 out of 5. I really love this. I love the shape of it and how fluffy and dramatic it looks. And this one I started in June and finished in July. Next up is the Toaster Tee by Rebecca Clow. This also gets a 5 out of 5. As you can see, I have, until now, we have a lot of finished objects that I love a lot. The yarn is Lana Grossa Echo in the color 105, and that one I got during a trip to Venice. And I knit this during July. I love this top. I wear it a lot, and I opted to knit some eyelets and some garter bumps instead of just knitting it straight. And this top is honestly amazing. I wear it, I wore it all of the time during summer, and I'm sure I'm going to get much use out of it again next year. Now, for how much I love that one. I absolutely hate the next Tolstar top I made. I hate this thing. It's so ugly. This gets a 0. I've never worn it, not once. The color is just really not my thing. This has nothing to do with the pattern. As you can see, I have one Tolstar tee I love to bits, but this one, no, I can't wear it because of the pink stripes. It's just, pink isn't my color. I don't like to look at pink, and I don't like the way pink looks on me. I knit this to get rid of some scraps, but I really wish I would have left out the pink that turned out to be my main color. Yeah, it's atrocious in my eyes. And this one is probably going to be completely ripped out and be put back into the scrap basket during this year to be used up in, I don't know, a baby knit, something that isn't for me. So yeah, this yarn was just scraps. The light pink and the pink one are leftovers from my Fable Knitwear advent calendar. The green and this taupey color are both the mini Füchse that are used in my folklore ruffle blouse. And this darker grey color with the speckles is the color I used on my Burrow cardigan on the border. And yeah, you've seen it now. I showed it to you. I was honest. You will never see it again unless I show you how I destroy it. Even my yarn journal says monstrosity, rip it out and reuse the yarn again. This was knit during August. Yeah. Next up is something I do like, and I do like the colors of. It probably isn't the colors I would usually go to. I don't use a lot of blue, and I don't think that I would knit a sweater out of a blue yarn, but I like it in this shawl. It's my Geogradient shawl. The pattern is by Stephen West. Now we're coming into the time where you have already seen my things in my podcast, so I'm going to try and go a little bit more quickly. The beige and the light blue yarn are Rico Design Baby Merino in the colors 2 and 11. The green yarn is Faserliebe Merino Non-Superwash Socks. It doesn't have a colorway name. And the dark green is Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the color Dark Sea Green. Yeah, this one gets a 4 out of 5. Only because I didn't enjoy knitting the huge border. And it still does ripple a bit. I think I have to block it again. Next up is another Park Knit pattern. This is a starter sweater by Park Knit. Knit in Rosa Pommard Brusca in the colorway BC and in Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk in the colorway 4. This I started in September and finished in November. And I'm giving this a 2. I think it's only a 2. I talked about this in my latest podcast episode. I don't like the choices I made for this. I think this could be an amazing sweater if I had picked a different yarn. Honestly, leaving out the stripes would probably already have made it a lot better. The stripes just gives it a weird rustic look, and I would prefer it without them. With the simple shape of the sweater and the rustic choice of yarn, it looks very old-timey. I don't know how to describe the feeling it gives me, but I just don't feel nice in it. So this is more of a stay-at-home sweater, but I'm fine with that. Maybe I will take it skiing. We're going skiing in February, and maybe I will take it there because it does keep quite warm. I'll have to see. Next up, this one has been heavily featured during the last weeks. It's also quite crumpled and I finally blocked it. It's now a little bit bigger. It's my dark red Ghost Whisperer top, so the same as the one before, but for this one I used a thinner yarn. It is Lang Yarns Luso in the color, I have to read this because Lang and their names, in the color 945.0080. I'm giving this a 3 out of 5. I like it a lot less than the first Ghost Whisperer top I made. Maybe because it's less structured, because the yarn is thinner. On the first Ghost Whisperer top, I wrote into my book that I should make the arms a little shorter because I made them quite long on that one. But having made them shorter, I think I have them as long as the pattern requests now. It gives it much less of a poof. And I would have, at the end, I probably would like it more with longer arms. I still have some of this yarn left. We will, yeah, I will have to think about whether or not I'm feeling up to ripping this out with a fiber like this. Probably not. I will still wear this. I still like it. I just don't like it as much as the other one. And the final thing, this one you haven't seen finished yet. I showed it in my latest podcast episode, but I wasn't done yet. It's the Framework Bralette by Jessie Made, and I knit it in my remaining Fable Knitwear Advent Calendar from 2022 in the color Polka. And I ran out of yarn, that's why I had to straighten out the back instead of knitting more of the cups, and I made the straps crisscross instead of going straight back because of how I had to knit the back. This hasn't been blocked yet. The way it is right now, it's quite tight. I did knit it to my size, so maybe it will block out to the right size. And the scrap yarn I used to color block the straps is the Chulana Sensitiva I used for my Burrow cardigan. Yes, so that's everything I knit for myself during the year of 2023. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of these things that you haven't seen before. This goes to show that sometimes you knit something you really like and you really enjoy, and sometimes you just have an idea that doesn't work out and the finished object isn't what you imagined, and that's fine too. So how many things did we get in total? Let me count. With the socks, it's 14 items. That's one bigger item per month. I'm not counting the bralette or the socks as big items, but with all of the tops and the shawl and everything, yeah, that's one per month. I'm hoping to keep that up during this year, knitting one bigger thing per month. That sounds quite right. Of course, this doesn't include my gift knits, so I did knit more than 14 items. I'm honestly surprised. I thought that I didn't knit that much this year. Of course, some of these things I started in 2022 and only finished in 2023, but I was under the impression that I didn't get that much knitting time, but I still made quite a few things. I made less sweaters and more short sleeved tops than in the past. Thinking of the coming year, I probably want to make more wearable things again. I make quite a lot of tops that are more elegant and more occasion wear than everyday wear, and I am missing a few more wearable sweaters. I will try and focus more on that during the coming year. Maybe you can write me some of your knitting goals in the comments down below. The things I can conclude from what I see here and what I've said today is that I want to knit more socks. So technically, if I knit 2 pairs of socks, I've knit more socks than last year. So that goal would already be reached. And more sweaters and wearable items instead of occasion wear, or a nice middle ground. 12 bigger items a year sounds like a nice number. Let's see if I can reach that again. Hello, Editing Vanessa here. I just wanted to add in, I know that 12 items wouldn't be considered much by a lot of people, but regarding the time I have right now to knit, I do think that's an achievable goal. You have a lot of other podcasters that show like over 20 items that they knit in a year, but to me that just isn't realistic. I mean, this isn't my job, and I'm also renovating a house, and I'm honestly quite a slow knitter, and I enjoy knitting more slowly. For me, the process is also important, and I don't just want to rush through projects. But I do realize that 12 items wouldn't be considered much by a lot of people. To me, it's enough, and I am happy if I can find just as much knitting time this year as I did last year. And knitting 12 items will mean that I was able to keep up with my knitting from last year instead of going down. I won't be mad if it's more. I'm honestly hoping it will be more, but yeah, I just wanted to add that in to clarify that I know that 12 isn't much for most people. And maybe I also want to make more accessories like scarves and hats, because I haven't knit many of these for myself. I've knit them for my boyfriend and family members, but not so much for myself. Yeah, so that's it for today. I thank you very much for watching, and I also hope that we will have an amazing year on this channel with tons of new videos. I want to keep doing my podcast. I have a lot of ideas for videos for this year to take you along on some projects, and yeah, I will see you soon. Don't forget to write in the comments what your knitting goals are, and see you next week. Bye!